live video series. All right, so here we go. If you're not watching with us live, this is a live video. So you can skip ahead to the 3 minute mark. We're just going to let our audience build for a second, and that'll be where the content starts. However, feel free to stay with us for the next couple minutes if you like. So, what we're going to talk about today is a complaint that we hear about a lot, and it's my dealer doesn't really know about EVs. So we're going to talk about what I think your dealer should know, why we know, what we don't know, those kinds of things, and help you in your search for an electric vehicle. Or maybe you're heading down a more greener lifestyle, you want to just explore things. We'll help you through that process. So that's kind of where this video is headed. It was not my idea, it was actually Tim's idea, and we'll tell you why we came about doing this today. But I think it's something worth discussing. So, real quick, I just want to show you if you want to watch us live, we do a live video like this at 2 o'clock every day. Today we're late. Today it's 2:30. I had a meeting. So we're going to go a little late and we'll see if we have some of the same regulars. Looks like we have a couple of the regulars here. Let me just flip the camera around and I want to flip over to here and show you how to join us live. So you go to our YouTube page. You're usually already there. And if you refresh the page exactly at 2 o'clock, today we're doing it at 2:30, you're going to see a live video right here in the main section of the page. Right there, I'll have a little live tab come there eventually. There we go, a little live tab. So if you don't see this little live tab on the video, just click the video section right here, and that will take you, it'll be the first video there. But we're going to click that right now. The reason I'm doing this is because it helps me see the comments over here on the right-hand side, and that will be very helpful for me because, as we get this up and running, I have them over on the big screen. We're going to talk about that bicycle over there for a second as well. So we'll do that. But what do we got for news? Let me just cover the news because you guys want to know what's going on. Every day I mention this, but it seems like I regularly get emails. What's going on with Sorrento? Still waiting. As soon as the Sorrento is here, I promise we'll have it up. I'm going to put it on my Instagram very first thing as soon as I see it, which is at Peter_Brantford_Kia. Beyond that, we're going to throw it on YouTube the very first day we see it. So as soon as I see it, you will see it. We'll do subsequent videos beyond that to get some more information to you, especially after I've gone through the vehicle and I can find stuff out that's not in the spec sheet, and we'll do that for you. So that's Sorrento news. What else is new? I don't think there was anything else I had to talk to you about. Yeah, I don't remember. Can't wait to see the X line. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. So the American X line is going to be different than the Canadian X line. So that's one thing that I'm really looking forward to talk about as well, to see some of those differences in the trims. We do have a different car here than the Americans. One thing that I thought was interesting, I was doing some research just last night. The turbo engine, there's two 4-cylinder 2.5-liter engines. The turbo engine will actually be better on highway fuel efficiency. So the more powerful engine with more capability is going to actually have better fuel efficiency as well. So there's your Sorrento news. We're about 5 seconds away from beginning. So let's get going here right now. All right, those of you that skipped ahead to the 3-minute mark, here we go. So one of the things that I just want to set the stage for you here. We are here. Let me just show you. There's a little badge in the background here. We're here at Brantford Kia. We are a Platinum Prestige Kia dealer. What that means is we have been recognized as one of the top 3 percentile Kia dealers anywhere in the world, which is kind of cool. Our people have worked very hard to earn that distinction. And one of the things we also claim to be is an EV dealer, which is kind of, there are several EV dealers, but we call ourselves the EV experts. We earned that title, I think. And one of the things that we find is we get a lot of business, a lot of deals from people going into other dealerships and having a poor experience because they're looking for an EV and either the salesperson didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to sell it to them, didn't want to do whatever else. So we're going to talk a little bit about what you should look for in an EV dealer by talking about who we are and how we kind of got to where we are. And that should help you determine what you're doing. So first of all, the reason we're doing this video, it's kind of silly, but this is how I got to work today. As you guys know, I do these videos every day. I'll talk about EVs. I'll talk about regular cars. This is an electric assist bicycle. And Tim thought this was the perfect symbol of why we became experts. So real quickly, those of you that know, I have over 6 million views on YouTube. I've been recognized by Google as one of the top dealership YouTube channels anywhere in North America. And it's not totally because of our views. I think it's because we're very good at turning views into sales. And one of the ways we do that is by knowing our stuff. EVs are not just something that I like to do. They are something that, or like to talk about, they're a passion for me. We've bought an EV myself. And that's my electric assist bicycle. I do nerdy things. My dad has owned an electric motorcycle. My parents own an electric car. It's kind of a family thing that we do. So when we had the opportunity to get into electric vehicles, we as a dealership really decided what do we need to know. And it's not just carrying the vehicles. Our technicians had to be trained, but not just trained from Kia. We had to make sure that they were really, really knowledgeable. And what we've had a few times is people come in and do service elsewhere, and technically those people are trained on EVs, and then they find out that maybe they didn't know as much about the EVs as they could have known or should have known. So I'm an advocate here at the dealership for you, for EV owners. And I think that's really important. So let's just talk really briefly about what you should look for when you go to an EV dealer. So when you come in, if you come in on, for instance, the Kia Soul EV or the Kia Niro EV, and they steer you right away to a Niro hybrid instead, because it's what they have in stock, or a Kia Soul gasoline car, you should be pre-warned that that is not a dealer that wants to sell you an EV. We want to sell you whatever you want to buy. Now, there are times I have steered people away from an EV because their lifestyle probably won't fit with an EV. Now, that's happening less now that we have EVs with more range. But a real warning sign is I can tell you factually, I have not yet seen a single person cross shop a Soul EV with a Soul gasoline model. Now, I will see people cross shop something like this car behind me, where I'll show you right over here. Sometimes people will shop a BMW or a Mercedes or something like that with a Soul EV because they'll be looking for a luxury car and maybe at the same price point an electric vehicle. So this vehicle in front of me is a $50,000 vehicle. It still has a $50,000 plus. It does have a gasoline or a discount, excuse me, from the government, which can bring it closer, but it is not the same price as a Niro hybrid, and it's a very, very different driving experience. So you want to look for someone that knows that. You also want to look for people that, when we talk about service, can they lay out the exact service schedule? Can they tell you the exact pricing of the service schedule? When we talk about charging, do they quote the charging times in the book, or do they talk about the real world experience? When they talk range, do they talk about the range? For instance, this car in front of me right here is rated for 385 kilometers. Now, we have several customers, including family members of mine, who take this car over 500 kilometers every single charge all summer long. So when we talk about range, are we talking about rated range, real world range? How do you get that kind of range out of this car? What happens in the winter? Do you put snow tires on? What are the snow tires? What are these tires like in the winter? Those are kinds of questions that a dealer should be able to talk about because they should have been driving these cars. They should know these cars. So if you sense a lack of understanding about some of those types of questions, then that is also an important thing. The other thing you're going to talk about is when you get in these cars, you're going to see a lot of things in here. And the first thing I see a lot of salespeople do is they come in here, they say, wow, look at how cool, look at how quiet it is. And we should really talk about how quiet an EV is. Let's just turn the car on. So the car is running, and they're going to say, wow, look how quiet it is. Well, did you know going down the road, this Niro is not a whole lot more quiet than a gasoline Niro on the highway. Why is that? Well, it shares a lot of componentry, and you don't actually have, you don't hear a lot of engine noise in a modern vehicle going down the highway. You still have road noise, you still have wind noise. Another thing that people do is, we're back. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Got a phone call there. I assume we're still back. Somebody on the comment section, give me a thumbs up if we're still back. So one of the things we can do when they get in a car, one of the things I want to show you how to do is you should be able to tell this car is at 51% charge. Now it is currently plugged in. We're not going to go anywhere, obviously, but you should be able to come into a Kia EV and you should be able to tell exactly what the charge will be if it's full. So when we look at this, we can see at 100%, you're going to have 454 kilometers of range. Thanks. Perfect, guys. Thanks for the thumbs up. So when you get in here, you should be able to see that you have 454 kilometers of range when this is fully charged. Now, what does that range equal? What happens if I turn the climate system on? How much range am I going to use? How does that work? Those are questions that we should be able to use. Anybody on a Kia EV talking about you can save a whole bunch of range by hitting the driver only button? Well, I can show you exactly what you're going to save on the driver only button. I'm going to press that button now. And, oh, in this case, I saved 13 kilometers of range by going to driver only. That will be about 1 kilometer in the summer. So keep that in mind, how those kind of things change. So those are a lot of things that you need to look for in a dealer. Now, what happens with service? Well, we put a brake service online. We use my own personal car, and we talked about service. If somebody tells you, oh, these cars hardly need any service at all, they are incorrect. Electric vehicles do need lots of service. Think about an oil change. Let's talk about an oil change real quickly. When you have an oil change on a car like this, You're going to put it in the air. You're going to drop the thing. The first thing our technicians are going to do is they're going to check things like ball joints. They're going to check things like suspension components. They're going to make sure all the routing of the wires and the cords and everything else is in the right spot, the way it should be. If you are someone who does that every 6,000 kilometers on your gasoline car, you probably don't notice a whole lot of things every now and then. Sometimes the technicians will just clip something back in place that's not looking good. The odd time, you'll find a ball joint loose. And you say, okay, I got a brand new car. I'm not going to have a ball joint loose. Well, we had brand new Sorrentos not that many years ago that had a short run of models that needed ball joints replaced. And it was part of a service campaign that we did. So it is possible that those kinds of components need to be checked, need to be replaced. You also have tire pressures checked. Now, this car has tire pressure monitors, as do most of our cars, but tire pressures on an EV might save you some fuel, might save you some tire wear, and you need to do a brake service. We did a brake service online. We actually put it on. You can see it on our video channel here. That's a very important service for these cars because the brakes, of course, grab and release. The rear brakes grab and release a lot more than the front brakes because these can be regeneratively charged, which also, or the front wheels can be used in the regeneration process, which is braking these wheels, and your rear brakes will activate a little bit more. When that gets done, you want to make sure that they grab and release. And in Canadian winters, especially with the salt, that can corrode up. You want to make sure those things are done. So those are some things we run into. I've had the other thing is people get in and they talk to me about charging because they've talked to another dealer and they want to know how much range they'll have. And people talk about charging times and they're quoted, well, it takes 9 hours to charge or whatever that is. And that's true, but they've been talked out of the car by the other salesperson when the reality is this car, most of the time, you can do 80% of a charge in, if you go to level 3 charger, 80% of your charge can be done in just over an hour. However, most of our owners never, ever, ever charge this car for 9 hours. They drive it for a day, 2 days, 3 days. They plug it in for 2 hours at their home charger, which looks just like this, and it charges. And that's because, let's just take a quick look. Remember, we had 454 kilometers is the total range. Well, if we've driven, let's say 234 kilometers, we have 220 kilometers of range. What is it going to take to charge this car? Another 5 hours, not 9 hours, 5 hours till full on this charger. So you very rarely are going to run into a situation where you're running this car every day and need 9 hours of charge. So what that means is if I'm going to go a 300 kilometer trip, I got to, let's say I'm home for dinner right now, and then I got to go on a 300 kilometer trip, 150 there, 150 back. Well, by the time I finish dinner, I'm probably going to have the 300 kilometers that I need if I'm getting home, changing, having dinner, saying hi to my kids, and that kind of thing. So there are a lot of ways that living with an EV can be a little bit different than living with a gas vehicle. So you want to find a dealer that lives and breathes this stuff, an advocate at the dealer, not just a salesperson that knows how to sell the car, but a service team that knows how to service the car, and those kinds of things. So those are a couple of things we want to look for. I'm going to just see if there's any questions here. Let you look at the car, not me, and we'll talk about that really briefly. Again, this is going to be a shorter video than we normally do. We are had some other meetings and other stuff, so we're going to pull in a vehicle tomorrow, and there are no questions, so we are all good. I've bored you all to tears. All right. So real quickly, does your EV dealer know some tricks and tips about these cars? Should we show you some tips and tips and tricks? Well, let's talk about that. The first thing we did here is when you want to know if you're especially interested in EVs. Like I said, the one thing that people regularly do is what they do is they hit the swipe across and they hit the EV section here, and they say this will tell you everything about your car. So this circle here, they'll tell you that that tells you your range. Now let's take a look at what that circle actually does. That assumes we're in Toronto right now. That's not correct, but let's pretend like it is correct. I'm inside, so it's having trouble getting the GPS signal. A lot of people tell you, oh, this is your circle. This is where you can go. Well, that will not be true. This is a circle. If all the roads were level and everything was straight, my 222 kilometers of range will take me that far away. Now, as we all know, if you come from Toronto out to where we live, there's the Hamilton Mountain, the Niagara Escarpment. That'll take you there. So you will not necessarily make it there. So that's something to keep in mind. Even though it says EV range, it's not going to give you your true range. Good information on how long it really takes to charge. Yeah, for sure. The other thing is you can set charge management things. So this is a sort of a tip and trick about charge management. A lot of people are concerned about electricity use. Now, I want to be really clear. If you have a gasoline vehicle, your your fuel costs are significantly higher than your electricity costs. So it doesn't matter what you charge at home. So keep that in mind that electricity charging is per kilometer is much cheaper. In my case, I have a pickup truck that's about $80 to fill. It's 10 times more expensive to fuel that than it is to fuel my EV. So you can manage your charge times, and what that means is in my area at 7 o'clock at night, the electricity gets cheaper. You can set this up to only start charging at 7 o'clock at night. This one, eco driving, is kind of fun, but kind of doesn't tell you a whole lot. You can compare your CO2 usage compared to a similar gasoline vehicle. Exciting, but not something that's going to be helpful. This is an interesting one. You can figure out what kilowatt hours are and kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So the way we track is liters per 100 kilometers is our fuel economy in Canada. And if you want to see this, this can give you an idea of your best trip and your worst trip. Now, of course, this car is all over the map. A lot of times these cars idle. They can actually exceed that 18. I think I've seen it down to 12 on this car, 12 point something liters per 100 or kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So there's information in there. And again, the key to finding the range on these cars is tap this, and you can see right there on an AC charger, which is plugged into right now, 454 kilometers, and it'll tell you 5 hours. Now, if I don't have it charging, it'll show you the 110 plug, which is the regular, like a cell phone, same plug in there. But one other thing I want to hit is this button here. If you tap that again, oh, this feature, please use this feature after charging the vehicle. So I'd have to unplug it. If you tap that, you can get a real-time view of how much power the car is using. So that's kind of an interesting way to do things. All right, so Tim wanted me to talk about what to look for in a dealer. The one thing I want to point out finally is don't fall for the sales pitch of someone who's an EV advocate and says EVs are for everything, because you don't want that bias either. As I mentioned, I drive a pickup truck. There are not many EV advocates that drive a pickup truck. But the reality is, for some customers, a pickup truck is the right vehicle right now. Until something like Rivian comes out or the Cybertruck comes out and the real world on the ground, there are no currently pickup truck options, no real world pickup truck options. So if a pickup truck, or sorry, if an electric vehicle doesn't work for you, like for instance, if you come to a Kia lot today, this is our biggest EV. If you're replacing a minivan and you've got 5 kids, I'm going to be really honest with you. You're probably not going to be as satisfied with your EV purchase as you would be with your minivan. You can fit 5 people in here. The center person is going to be quite tight. So, hey, Peter, if I was to compare Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus with either Soul EV or Near EV, what are the pros and cons of both? Perfect question. We actually did a Tesla versus Nero video. We spent about 20 minutes to half an hour doing that. If you go to a search page, I want to show you how to search our website real quick, because this is going to be helpful to you who are looking for EVs. Let's just open up a page here. We'll go to our Brantford Kia page. So if you go to Brantford Kia, or the Brantford Kia YouTube page, this little search bar right here will search just for our content, the stuff that I've made, the stuff that I am okay with saying. So if I look up Tesla and Nero, let's just do that. Tesla and Nero. You're going to see a number of websites. Why buy a Kia EV when you could just buy a Tesla Model 3? Let's discuss. So there's your Tesla Standard Range. I did the video on it. We've got about 1,300 views in the past couple months on that one. And that will be a great answer to you. So anybody looking for an EV, I want you to know about our website. Have we talked about it? How much have we talked about it? Have we compared? Have we been honest? Have we been, does it make sense what we're saying? So those are things to look for. If something doesn't make sense, if it doesn't match your research, find out why. Be able to ask the questions. If they don't have good answers, then you have to ask yourselves that question. So again, I think the real point of this video is we live and breathe EVs. We live and breathe electrical stuff. The research I did on that, the battery charge. One other thing I want to say, this is a 672 watt hour battery. This one in a level 1 charger, in other words, when I plug that battery, which you can see the size of it, into the wall, takes 6 hours to charge. My EV takes 30 hours. This takes 60 hours. These cars are actually very quick charging, even on a regular plug, when you consider the technology. Of course, we're going to charge it through this charger right here, which is about 9 hours on this car, 6 hours on my car. I have a shorter range Kia Soul. So something like the technology in these cars is really leading stuff. I just want to go through a question again. I think somebody asked a question that I missed. Let me just jump through that. Awesome. Thank you. Perfect. Does charging level 1 daily over 90% degrade hurt the battery? Okay, good question. Battery degradation. Kia doesn't tell us that stuff. They don't give us the whole, this is what it will do for sure. And the reason they don't is because it really depends on how you use it, what you do with it, all kinds of things. There's a number of ways batteries degrade. The key thing is with charging. So what we recommend, based on a Hyundai video that we actually saw, a worldwide Hyundai video, is and some information that they have, is you charge your car to 80% most of the time, and you keep it above 20%. So when you're driving, you keep it above 20%. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean I only have now 40% less battery, 60%? In other words, the 20% to the 80%? No, that's not the case. If you need more range, you simply charge it to 100%. The idea being that you want to always keep it between 20 and 80% unless you need it. So if you need to full range, then bring it to 100% and off you go. If you don't need the full range, then charge it to 80% and use the 80% on down. That's what I've done. That's sort of a best practice. Does charging to 100% kill your battery? No. Will it degrade your battery? Potentially there will be some degradation. Keep in mind, nobody comes into a Kia dealer or any dealer and says, "How long will the transmission last? Can you tell me about how quickly it will degrade over time?" Uh, the reason that the car manufacturer doesn't provide you with that information is because it really depends on you. It depends on a whole bunch of factors. It depends on all kinds of things, and the transmission will degrade over time. It will lose efficiency. It will, potentially even need replacement over time. But it's designed to last the life of the car. Same thing with the battery. You will lose some range over time. The nice thing about this car right here is rated for 385 kilometers of range. And you can see it was predicting 454 kilometers of range. And that's real world range. It will drive that. Even in the winter, it will still get up to well over 400 kilometers. So, what I always say to people is if 385 kilometers is enough for you today, and the next 10 years, all of your driving is going to require 385 kilometers of range before charging, then you're going to be fine with this car because even with battery degradation, you're still going to get that 385 just about all the time, except for in the winter. So that was a good question there. I'm going to see if there's any other questions here. I think we don't have anything else, but I'm willing to cut this short or go long. It's up to your questions here. Like I said, this is a live video, and I understand if people want to cut off with it, that's fine. We'll go from there. Real quick recap. Your dealer should eat, live, and breathe these cars. They shouldn't just own them on the dealership. Somebody at the dealership should drive one every day, like I do. We have James as well. One of our salespeople do. There are people here that drive EVs every day. Our owner, Pat Hart, drives an EV very regularly. We have an EV shuttle. That's what's going by behind us right now. That white Soul that just went by in the video, that's our EV shuttle. We drive these cars every single day. We have people that drive them every day. So we understand what you're going to experience when you drive them. That should be a key. The other thing is they should not push you towards or away from an EV. If they push you towards an EV because they want to sell it to you and an EV doesn't work for you, that's fine. It should be something that you want, not something that they want to push towards you. They should also not push you away from an EV. That happens all the time. The second a dealer is pushing you away from an EV, just give us a call. We'll sell you the car you want. Sometimes they try to push you what you have on your lot. Be prepared to wait. Some of these EVs take some time to get. Currently, Brantford Kia, right now, actually, we sold out of Kia Souls. So you're going to have to wait a few days for Kia Soul EVs. I'm not sure when they're coming in, but they are on the way in. Kia Niro EVs are on the lot. Kia Niro PHEVs are on the lot. That's not the case for most of Ontario. Most of Ontario will not stock these vehicles. The fact that a dealership is stocking these cars is always a good sign, but it's not a guarantee. Especially if they stock lots of them. We've got several Niro EVs on a lot, several Niro PHEVs on a lot. And again, make sure people understand what they're talking about. Kilowatt hours, what does that mean? How does that work? What's the real world range? What are those things? If you ask technical questions, they should have a way to get the answer if they don't know the answer. Those are the kinds of things we're looking for. And I think we'll just leave it at that. I don't want to trash other dealers. I do want to make clear where this video came from. One of my biggest frustrations with EVs, and again, if you follow me online, you see a lot of EVs. My biggest frustration is we get calls from customers who've bought all over the country, all over the world, in part, and sometimes they mention my videos, and then they end up servicing their car, and they find that the service department doesn't really meet their expectations. And that's the thing that we have to keep in mind. Does your dealer know stuff? Do they know what they need to know? And is your experience going to be satisfactory? So hopefully, you can look for that. If you're anywhere in Ontario, plain and simple, buy from us. I never say that with a gas car. There's plenty of gas dealerships out there that are excellent. What I'm finding is I'm getting a lot of calls from people who have questions about the EVs that the dealer should know and they don't. And if they don't have an answer, then we'll do our best, obviously, to work with you. But yeah, buy from us, service with us. EVs are definitely to be considered when shopping for a new vehicle. Oh, 100%. We're things in Canada, and it sounds like the States as well. These vehicles are going to get less expensive. They are going to have more range. They are going to have more technology. Those kinds of things. Self-driving is coming to a lot of our vehicles. It's an interesting subset of vehicles, and for a lot of people, it makes sense. Like I said, I happen to have a pickup truck because I need a pickup truck to tow my trailer, and a pickup truck was helpful. But I also have an EV, and that's a great mix for me. It's not an either or thing. It's not like, oh, if you're a pickup truck guy, you can't be an EV guy. You can be both. It makes perfect sense to be both, actually, because now you have one vehicle for ultra efficiency and one vehicle for ultra practicality. All right, guys, a little different video today. Tomorrow we'll be back to looking at cars, I promise. Not sure if this is everybody's cup of tea, but hey, we did it. We do this every day, and we'll do something better tomorrow if this isn't. And if you like this, we'll do more stuff like this. Do me a favor, hit the like button, and we're going to wrap it up right there. Let me just see if there's anything I missed. I don't think there's any questions I missed. How much does the range decrease in wintertime? Really depends on your driving. So I have one that's rated for 248 kilometers of driving. Mine's a short range Kia Soul. It stayed above 200 last winter with winter tires on. Now I drive a little bit more aggressively probably this year now that I've gotten used to the power in that car. But I'll report back to you. We'll pull my own personal car in the bay this winter on the coldest days, and we'll look at the real world range, what it's predicting, what it can get, how that works. So we'll do that this winter, and we'll talk about that. And if it's not good, I'll tell you it's not good because I own one, not just because I'm trying to sell one. And we'll talk about it there, and we'll push Kia to make better and better cars, and they're doing that. All right, thanks everybody for watching. We're going to leave it right there. And like I said, tomorrow we're going to come back 2 o'clock, and we will review a vehicle. I'm really hoping that Sorrento shows up, but I haven't heard anything about that. So we'll keep trying. Anyways, have a great day, everyone, and we'll talk to you later.